When Ian McKellen said he'd do it, I got out a thesaurus because there was no way I was going to let a Shakespearean actor read my third grade level writing.
That's amazing.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Wow.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Danae, you sound like your brain's been fried. What's going on?
I don't know.
There's a little bit of time travel going on, behind the scenes of Behind the Sins Secrets. We've recorded this episode out of order, so you will hear later why Danae's brain is fried, but we won't spoil it for you. But how's everybody doing besides having your brain fried?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Hanging in there. We just had Thanksgiving, although this will be 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving, right?
Yes, it will. We'll be heavily into December.
This is Danae's first day back from, she took a whole week almost.
Yeah.
Almost. And I took time off of work. I unplugged. I turned off my notifications on my phone for emails and Slack and even text messages. And just was like, if it's an emergency, they'll figure out how to get a hold of my husband.
I loved seeing the palm tree daily when I would go on Slack. It was so cool.
A visual representation. Danae is on vacay.
Yeah, they had this vacation mode for Slack. I was like, okay, I'll try that. I put away messages on my emails so that if there was something that needed to come up, there was another person to contact.
Look at you being all adult.
I just was like, okay, I'm out. And I definitely checked out and I got to experience my post-birthday / Thanksgiving week. It was a really fun week filled with relaxation and house projects and cooking and friends and Dungeons and Dragons. And it was just
nice.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
we
very
did
nice.
Because of just a lot of stuff going on in real life, we did a takeout thing for Thanksgiving, which we had never done before. Although we have gotten a ham or something from Cracker Barrel before, but we've never done the full meal. I don't know that I would do it every year, but it was nice.
We did that last year.
Just warm some stuff up.
Yeah.
And it was just the three of us, my wife and daughter and my mom. So it was just four of us. So it was, it was just very simple. And we had a great day.
It's nice to get back to the basics sometimes, just kind of understand what it's really about. And then, of course, it's awful, what is going on. And the pandemic is certainly a horrible thing. But to kind of understand what you're truly thankful for in a time like this, I think is kind of amazing and beautiful. And there's really some benefit there. So. Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. We're excited because we have a special show for you today. We not only going to do the things we usually do, but we actually have the creator of one of the things we will be talking about on the show. This is a first for us, so we're excited to have that happen. But Scott Sava, who is the creator, director, writer.
I thought you were going to say... I just ruined the joke because I can't think of the guy's name. Jon Favreau.
Yes, Jon Favreau from The Mandalorian is going to join us to talk about the sins for Mandalorian. And then we've got Matt Groening to talk about Futurama. It's going to be amazing. Billie Eilish also on the show today to talk about that.
I'm glad we had Scott because Scott is amazing. I'm sure all those other people are amazing as well. But so Scott's awesome.
So that'll be coming here in a second, but let's kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, and how we felt about the stuff we were sinning in general. Starting off in TV Sins Land with some more Mandalorian, The Passenger.
Mandalorian.
This is technically a Dicer Hughes script, but let's be honest. This is a Hughes script. Danae slayed this script. Strange things were going on. Sometimes we have to kind of shift writers around, that kind of stuff. And Danae was like, look, I think I wrote a pretty good script here. And it's kind of nice when your writing partner will do that, where it's like, I think I got your back here. And Danae kind of sent me that email and was like, I think I got your back. I got a pretty good script here. So, give me what you have and we'll make it work. And yeah, so that's kind of what happened here. So if you hate this episode of CinemaSins, it's all Danae.
Yeah, skip telling me that you hate it. But I do have to say that my following week's script was so different. I don't know what it was. It was like the Sins gods just opened up the skies or hell or wherever the synth gods live and just poured their inspiration into me. And I had a 40 plus Sin script that just like fell out of my brain without much effort. But then like the very next week, I was like a dry desert. I was like, here's one good sin. Good luck, you know. So
it'll happen though. You know,
it happens from time to time, and this just happened to be one of those moments where I was able to write quite a lot in a clutch moment. So it was really cool how that stuff just kind of happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, there's a little balance the next week, which we'll talk about next week.
And I mean, it's, you know, we're getting into like cold weather, so you know, drying out's very common.
Yes,
around
it
this
is.
time.
Moisturize. Yeah, drink a lot of
More
water.
moisture.
It's understandable. So let's talk about it a little bit. Boy, am I loving this season of Mandalorian. And of course, we're talking about the second episode here, and we've probably seen, as we record this, I think 5, right? I think there are 5 episodes out now.
There's 5 episodes out there. I still have to watch the 5th episode, but yes, there's 5 episodes.
So I'm speaking with some future knowledge just to say, like, I am so digging this season, and this episode is really, really good, and I had a good time with it. I don't know that I have specific, you know, things over any of the other episodes that I would want to say, but what about you guys?
Well, I think this was a fun one to watch because once again, little baby Yoda has taken on a new. It's not just the Mando show, and this episode is really showcasing that. You know, I think in a unique way.
You know, we know his name now in the 5th episode, so
I don't know it yet, so shut up.
All right, so I won't spoil it. You guys haven't watched episode 5 yet.
That sounded really mean. I meant that to be funny, and I just realized like that sounded
Jonathan,
awful.
You're so mean.
I was like, shut up.
Shut up.
No, you had to say it quickly, and I always appreciate that, saving yourself from spoilers that you want. I didn't realize that would be like a big information. I mean, it's just a name, but yeah, it's known now.
I
so.
don't know.
His name
I
is
don't
Carl.
know. And it's very possible I've already seen it listed on Twitter or something and don't even realize it because people were jumping all over it. But no, it's my fault for not having watched it.
Listen.
You can say whatever you want.
No. Listen, let's save it. I mean, honestly, that episode, we'll talk about that 3 weeks from now. So, you know, it'll have its day in the sun. But yeah.
I found this one to be shocking. Like we've seen him eat a frog, you know, but this one shocked me on a different level, right? Because when he first walks over to the container and he puts his little like, you know, hands up or whatever, and he presses his face to the glass and, you know, it's all distorted and adorable looking. I'm like, oh, is he going to do some sort of magic? Some sort of, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I thought maybe he was going to use the Force to do something.
But magic is fine, yes.
It's fine, guys. You understand what I'm saying?
Magic.
You know, something that, I don't know, help them to sustain the journey or something deep and meaningful.
He was offering
and then
blessings, yes.
He straight up kills them. So
yeah,
this was controversial, right? Because this got some people were a little upset about the I thought it was adorable.
I think it's adorable. I also think, again, based on future knowledge that apparently neither of you two have, as we get more of the origin story on him, I also think it's intentional. I think there is, not to give too much away, but I think there's a darkness to this character that we're going to learn a little more about. And the fact that they're balancing that with being an infant, whatever that means for this species, is, I think, fascinating.
Well, he just doesn't know. Like, does he know that what he's eating is a living creature?
No, I think that's the infant part of him. Yeah.
You know, and then in other future episodes, you know, he cracks open eggs, he eats things, he's you know,
he's
maybe
curious.
at first we're like, oh, it's a frog, it's fine because it's a frog. But now it's like, oh no, it's a baby. You can't eat babies. So it's different.
Well, I was just going to say what you were saying, Aaron. I think I'm sure it's intentional. I think this show does a great job of being both episodic and through that continuing a kind of a main storyline.
Yeah, serial.
Which a lot of shows, which is very Star Wars too, right? Because I mean, each of the movies
serial.
kind of have their own side quest, as Barrett keeps calling these. But that's what I kind of this show does a balancing act better than most shows that try to do this. Like I don't know, for some reason, like CSI just popped in my head, because whenever CSI would try to do like a recurring story plot or something, it usually didn't work very well. It was just like, just go back to the case of the week. You're good. Like we don't need convoluted mythology here.
Yeah. No, I'm enjoying it. I really am. Let's get into the video itself. Since Danae and I wrote on this, Jonathan, what are some of your favorite sins? Why don't you kick us off?
Feel really bad if I only picked Aaron's sin. I'm going to feel
I wrote like 2 sins in this,
awful.
so that would be amazing.
Well, I only have 2 up here. I'm kidding. No,
You tweaked a few. You added you embellished a few.
Yeah.
And you added a couple.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I thought this was a great. I think both of these. This is the second one, right?
Yes, this is the second episode. Correct.
I think both of these videos. I'm really happy with both of these so far. I'm looking forward to seeing what we do in the future. But no one cares about a child's eye protection. That's 100% Danae.
Yeah.
Like Mando's in a helmet. Why doesn't this kid have at least goggles?
Everything that I loved so many things about that scene, and you nailed like all the fun stuff. The acting casual about straight up murder was also from that scene. I also loved come on Carl, work on your subtlety. And
Apparently, I like the name Carl because I just said that his name is Carl a moment ago.
It is
so
kind of your go-to joke name.
I guess that's my name.
Yeah.
And I always enjoy the riffs on "Welcome to our channel. Hope you enjoy your stay." It's always fun. And my favorite was the child who, even after I told you not to, will continue to eat your babies with a smile is exactly the kind of Star Wars content I'm here for. I think that summed up my feelings on the episode as well.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I love Danae's tush over teeth, saying when the child was spinning, like somersaulting, tush over teeth. I thought that was really funny. Exhaust pipe eyes was another one I really liked. I don't think exhaust pipe eyes cares all that much about hurting things. You mentioned the release the purple unicorn sin, which I really enjoyed. Bobbing for boba. Which then I did add, otherwise known as Boba Fetch.
Boba Fetch, so good. You made that joke sing.
And then the other one I wanted to mention was the Great Bithish Baking Show. This was a lot of fun. For that one to research, like I was trying to think of what could we do instead of British. And
right.
I was just looking at different Star Wars planets and species, and then there were the Bith, and I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. That works perfectly."
And I don't know if this will be in the outtakes or not, but we have discussed that cooking shows are just manipulation.
It's true. I think that will be in the outtakes. What about you, Danae? What else did you want to mention?
The Mando walking into a bar cliche. Like, do we have that? Because I feel like we need that.
We should have that.
Just sort of.
Oh,
just
yeah,
introducing.
This is it's funny when you said Mandalorian because this is straight up a Western. So everything about this.
The boba tea stuff is fun, like giving all the sins back if he drinks the lizard boba tea. And then at this point they're surrounded by T4 calling them T4s, which we won't talk about in keeping tabs this week. But if you don't know what the T4 virus is, look it up, and they look just like these spiders. It's got to be intentional, right?
You would think so.
But calling them T4, I was very proud of myself on that one.
No,
and when Aaron commented on it,
by the way,
he was like, good job. Like I felt like I did my job well on the T4 part of the tarantulas.
Look, guys, I did wordplay. Yeah, it was good.
But the 4 even looks like an A.
Yeah.
So it's just so nice.
It does work well.
I might have peaked. This could be me peaking as a writer, and I have to be okay with that.
You're like 1987 Sylvester Stallone.
There you go.
Nice. Danae, I don't know if you've peaked. I highly doubt it, but you did a great job. Well done with the script.
Thanks, you did too.
Oh, I forgot about Demolition Man. 1994 Sylvester Stallone.
All right, let's move on to Futurama. We did another Futurama. This one is XMas story. This was a Hughes Watkins script. Danae and Jonathan writing on this one. And this is the one where Fry learns that Christmas has become a very murderous holiday, apparently. Danae, I imagine this was your first experience with this episode. I know you've seen some episodes of Futurama. What did you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
I continue to enjoy Futurama.
It's really fun.
There are certain things about it that are just goofy silliness that is just the right amount of goofy silliness. And I think the take on a different type of future is almost always something that's going to be intriguing for me to watch. Just different takes on how the future could be, I love the sci-fi element of this cartoon a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much extra to add other than what I've said about Futurama before. It remains one of my favorite shows. I love it. People are apt to compare it to The Simpsons for obvious reasons. The same people. I think they're very different shows, so I have a hard time doing that. But I kind of love them both equally. They're kind of like, it's kind of like your kids, like it's like, yeah, I understand that there are certain parts of my kids that I like better than other parts of my other kids, but then there are also other parts of my other kids that I like, so it's like, you really don't have favorites in that way. And I think Futurama is great.
I don't think Futurama outstayed its welcome either. So maybe
No.
it's a little.
No. Every time it came
and
back.
I don't know if The Simpsons has either. People are still watching it, obviously. So
I got to tell you, because I know you're not watching The Simpsons, I would highly recommend the recent episode about like Comic-Con kind of stuff. Comic book guy goes to like a Comic-Con kind of thing. I thought it was full of like really brilliant wordplay and fun stuff. So lots of good nerdy jokes in the latest episode of The Simpsons that you might want to check out. But we're not here to talk about The Simpsons. We're here to talk about Futurama. Did you have anything you wanted to add about the show, Jonathan?
No, I love it just as much as both of you. I've probably seen more episodes than Danae, but I haven't seen like every episode. I don't know if I've seen this one. It's very possible I had seen it, but I didn't remember it. It's really funny though. John Goodman's awesome as always, as the Santa. But no, it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And I thought we hit the sends pretty well on it too.
You guys did. I really enjoyed this. I'll get us started. Why did Bender get so many bowls? Sure, we want to blame Bender, but really it's the system we should be angry with. I loved that observation because there's that justice part of me that's like, look, you can be upset at Bender, but somebody should have stopped him from doing it if it wasn't okay. If it was okay, Now, if he stole them, that's a different thing. But, he had to get them from somewhere. So I really liked that. Hold on a second. Earlier, Professor Nakey Nipples, by the way, love calling him Professor Nakey Nipples, said, and then about the poodles being extinct, and then like the narrator being like, but what is that? And then the crying for 12 seconds over the extinction of the poodle. All that made me laugh quite a bit.
What a shocking thing to have in the same episode where you said poodles are extinct.
Right.
That was one of those moments whenever I was watching it going, aha, I got you. Like I was so
that was a great catch. I didn't notice that.
Overly excited about that.
Yeah.
Way too excited about it.
Yeah. No, that was good stuff. I just want to point out that the creature's poops are the same shape of its noggin noodle. And now we know where the poop comes out. I thought it was really funny. And then, geez, does Pennywise just have to be in everything these days? Made me laugh quite a bit as well. What about you guys? Danae, why don't you go first?
And now we ponder why a man who loves to expose his skin to the elements would have tan lines. And then everything's changed, but that's not true. And then that moment, but I had to stop and think about that, like how insensitive it would be for someone who's talking to someone who time traveled from the past, who's literally everything about everything has changed for him, and so for Leela to just say that's not true. Nothing's really changed, and of course it's a joke because she's shooting a laser out of an axe, and I get that. But it just felt like that would be the dumbest thing.
It would, absolutely.
But then I also liked there was one that I kind of like added a little bit to from Jonathan, because he sent Santa coming down the chimney, like with how does Santa get his entire sleigh and reindeer down the chimney along with him, which is exactly like that is an absolute sin of every Christmas story. How is Santa getting down the chimney? And then of course also the sleigh and also the reindeer. And so, but I really liked how we did like the whole screaming like, and don't say it's because of the magic of Xmas. Yeah. Because that happens so much this time of year. Like it's the magic of Christmas. You don't ask questions. It's the magic of Christmas. And I'm like, someone needs to be the people asking questions around here. Though. Like, how does any of this work? So that was fun.
And that's what TV Sins is here for.
That's why we exist.
I just want to talk about, since the comment section is, kind of specific to animal crackers. I want to talk about people getting irate about the time travel comment. He's a time traveler. Like, maybe he didn't get in a time machine, but somebody even said it's the same as if you went to sleep and woke up the next day. Like, no, it's not anywhere near the same thing. He Rip Van Winkled his ass to the future, whatever. But it's
Correct,
still, I mean,
yeah.
it's just open your mind to what time travel really is.
Yeah,
That's right, guys.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It
But
is
to
a
be
form
fair,
of time
now, I
travel.
will say they probably are right though that Leela did put him in the computer or whatever. But from what I remember, she did it under a different it
I
wasn't
thought so,
him.
too.
It wasn't him though.
Yeah.
She was
I
just
thought
kind of
so,
getting
too.
him to where he was legalized or whatever.
It was one of those sins that we talked about as we were combining, like,
Yeah.
is this I think it's a sin that he would even know who Fry is because he's brand new to this world. And even if it's kind of explained away, it still is a good question at the very least. And we decided to keep it in the script. So there it is.
And he's a time
Deal with it.
traveler.
And he is a time traveler. Yes.
I also enjoyed getting to be an asshole about when the millennium ended because that's always like the that's always the worst conversation people have. Well, it doesn't really end. And then the tree activation deactivation class was a lot of fun. And I also enjoyed the scary. I liked getting the Scary Movie 2 outtake in there. The Polly Wants Your Mama's Sweet Ass.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible movie, but a very funny line.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And now let's go on to Matt Groening. And,
Yes. And now we've got Matt Groening here with us.
hey guys. I don't know. I don't have a good impression.
I was going to say very few people would probably know what he sounds like, but that's probably wrong because he's probably been on so many Simpsons commentaries, like on DVDs and stuff, that true fans probably do know.
Does he do any of the voice work? Does he ever do voice work or anything? I don't think. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. He may have appeared as himself in an episode or two, but
I'm Matt Groening.
yes, his initials are in every episode because they form Homer's ear and hair, MG. So
my
in
goodness.
case you didn't know that. All right, on to Billie Eilish, Therefore I Am, for music video sins this week. Guys.
But I think we should start with you, Aaron. Did you read the lyrics?
I did, of course.
Do you have a... Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You should start us off.
This is a beautiful song. I really like this. It's very much a song about existence, about why why we have purpose, what we exist for, and it's not necessarily for other people. So yeah, the Therefore I Am is of course a reference to Rene Descartes, the philosopher, who said, "I think, therefore I am." And the idea that even when we are questioning our purpose, our existence, those kind of things, we can know that we exist simply because we have consciousness. And it's this beautiful philosophical thought. And she kind of stretches that to apply to her haters, apply to, people who body shame her. And yeah, I found it to be really beautiful. And it's a good song. I really enjoy the song too. So yeah.
I like what you're saying. And I think I think her and her brother write most of the songs, if not all of the songs. But there's definitely there's a lot of talent behind the songwriting. I don't think I'm hearing I don't know. I don't think I'm as big of a fan as most people are that are a fan of hers.
Sure.
But I do, I can still appreciate what you're talking about. I think she's a very cool person. I think she's, I don't know. I like everything about her. The music itself doesn't really hit me in the same way I think it does other people. But,
Sure.
But I get it. I absolutely 100% get it.
What about you, Danae?
I love Billie. I continue to think that she's one of my favorite artists. I just don't think she gives a fuck what anyone thinks, and
Nope.
I can appreciate that. And I think I appreciate her like walking through a mall with an iPhone shooting a video. That's that's what that is, and that's what she's putting out. And I can appreciate. I don't know. I think it's just it's nice to see someone so confidently being themselves. I feel like, and I don't know this for sure, but I feel like she's just more of a protected artist in that I don't feel like she has a lot of the same level of bullshit that other artists that are young have experienced. I think she's protected by her mom and her brother, and herself, but I think she has a good group of people around her. But things could come out later down the line that reveal differences, but just how her art is her art and her perspective and how like strong her perspective is, I feel like it's protected. I feel like she has more of a foot on the gas and the brake and in the driver's seat, and has some support in that.
Yeah.
Whereas, you think about like Britney or somebody that's from the 90s or whatever, who's coming up and like, just going through like she doesn't even own anything. She can't do anything apart from what she's told to do, even as a grown woman, because she got so into some sort of system, some sort of money-making machine where her art and her music isn't owned by her, or even like a Taylor Swift situation where her music isn't even owned by her. And there's just this renaissance of music artistry that I think is starting to happen, or like ownership that's starting to kind of happen, and the conversation's more blown open. We've talked about it a little bit before in our segment, but Billie for me is an example of, if I understand, and I haven't done my research, she's just to me an example of somebody who appears to have more power as an artist, and I really like her.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of becoming more and more a thing. I mean, we talked about Melanie Martinez last week, and I think she's kind of in that same boat. I feel like those are people that have always been able to do what they wanted from the beginning and have just been able to stick to it. Like you think about somebody like Pink, where if you go back and listen to like Pink's first album, maybe even her first two albums, I can't remember, but it was definitely, they were trying to put her like in that Britney Spears type of style, that kind of type of pop. And, she was finally like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. And she was able to, thank God. Same thing happened to Kesha, in more recent years. So I feel like, maybe because of people like that, I feel like more of the artists these days are kind of getting to do their own thing. Even Taylor Swift, she still kind of gets to do what she wants. I don't know about I think you're talking about more just from the business, right? She lost ownership of some stuff, or
she had to
is
fight.
That what you're talking about?
She was trying to fight for it, but yeah. I think all artists kind of deal with it on one level or another. Like, who ons your stuff? How does it,
Well, and then now with streaming, that's a whole other issue with Spotify, what they're paying, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, I respect. That's why that is the thing I love about Billie Eilish. I just wish I liked her music more. Like, I feel so bad that I don't like her music more.
Hey, taste is taste, right?
But I love her, and I just. I hope that is true what you're saying, Danae. I hope we don't hear those stories. It seems like she's got a really nice family, so hopefully that's true.
Yeah.
Let's go into the Sins video. Danae, why don't you start us off?
Oh, okay, I will. I only have a couple written down. When she pushes a button and the sin is using your bare hands to press a public elevator button, especially while eating a handheld snack. We're all in agreement to never do that again, even after this is over, right? Like, because pandemic or no pandemic, touching surfaces in public, like buttons and handles and stuff, is a trigger for a lot of people. And that was a good example.
Yeah.
And then picking up random lemonade in a public place and taking a swig of that shit, and then he just starts to like gag. I thought that was a brilliant performance. The video in its entirety, I continue to really love where Barrett is going as a narrator. It's just like he's just so wound up tight and over the top and just like exploding all over. This one was filled with ones about like you should stop and shop kind of a thing. So it was just a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Lady Foot Locker, that's still a thing.
Yeah.
That
or
one written down
lids,
too.
when they shut down hard.
Yeah. What kind of weirdo Tetris pattern is this tile design? I thought that was great. The contractor must have been tripping balls when they laid it. Maybe it's a haunted mall, and the sounds of commerce from the 1990s will echo through these empty halls forevermore. And then he did a maniacal laugh. I thought, again, that was well performed. For some reason, I just giggled out loud when he said, "You barely even glanced at Sunglass Hut." And I don't know why something like that makes me laugh so much, but it's just something about the way it's worded. It's just a funny thing. And then the fact that she didn't eat any of the pretzel, I too am almost angry at her for having a warm pretzel and not even partaking.
I will say when I watched, I think it was when I watched the edit, this is funny for something we're probably going to be in the outtakes. I wanted a pretzel so bad. I was very hungry at that time.
Yeah.
But every time I see a pretzel, man, because that's just not something you can like make. Like that's something you have to buy from somewhere. I'm sure there are people can make them, but I can't.
It's just weird because my wife just made some like a week ago.
That's amazing. Because I have to move in with you. You're minus a few kids now. You can put me up somewhere.
Sure, absolutely. Come on over, man. She had bought through like a school fundraiser some like Auntie Anne's pretzel dough mix, and so she like made the pretzels and it was delicious. Yeah.
That's like I've never I guess you could. I mean, you can make anything, I guess, but it's like that's just one of those things I only think of like that's malls or like theaters or carnivals.
Well, I mean, she also
like you don't
bought
see giant cookie cakes at people's.
She also bought Cheddar Bay biscuit, like Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit mix.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
And also Cinnabon mix. So
Stop it.
Yeah.
No, really, I need you to stop. At the time,
does she
real
make cookie
life,
cakes?
It is 1:08 p.m. and I have only eaten half of a snack bar all day.
All right.
I need this to stop because what's going to happen is I'm going to be like, I'm done, and then I'm going to have to leave and go get food.
All right, Jonathan. I guess that means we should move on to you. What sins did you like from this?
Well, I was going to say, going off of what Danae was saying about Barrett just kind of like just coming into his own, or just kind of like going off as the narrator. I said, "Stand down, Jones." Now that's an order. Mm-hmm. I thought was really funny. And there's one that was just real kind of subtle, but he was just like, "Well, then why'd you ask the question?" It was really fun.
Yeah.
And this is an Avril Lavigne video in disguise. I thought was great. So
yeah. Let's move on to CinemaSins, The Croods. What is your familiarity with this movie, guys? Do you remember? I mean, this came out a while ago.
Yeah, I've watched this. My daughter liked this when she was really young. I mean, she still is young, but when she was younger. So I've seen it a few times. I don't know how much I like the movie, but visually, I really like the movie.
Yes.
And so that's the thing I really take away from the Croods. Like it's a great thing to have on in the background and stuff. I can always it always catches my eye, but I never remember really what it's about.
Yeah,
I just don't know that there's much there. So I don't know how much I like it, but it's got some positives for sure.
Well, we just had this conversation on SIFPOP because we were reviewing Croods 2 that just came out, and and similar feelings from the people on that show of, I remember thinking it looked beautiful, but I don't remember a lot of what it was about. It's very much a father-daughter coming of age trope movie. It's not that it's not about something. It's just what it is about has been done a million times before. And so it's not very memorable, I don't think. And it's just, for me, everything I liked about the Croods, the new Croods movie does. And then it also does everything I didn't like about the Croods better. So I really think the sequel is a lot better than the original. Yeah. So I think people are going to dig it whenever they finally get to see it safely.
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
But as far as the original Croods go, I just remember having so much fun with it that I wasn't expecting. It's just really the visual action is really fun. There's an energy to it that a lot of animated movies don't take advantage of. That I think of, like The Incredibles has this energy as well, where there's an understanding of the action and the fun things you can do in animation that you couldn't do in like live action that, kind of give it an extra little bit of energy. I like it. It's one of those movies that I like.
I think The Incredibles is an apt comparison because I think even though this isn't about superheroes, it's definitely that family aspect. I think they're definitely aping, because this is DreamWorks, right?
Correct.
I think they're definitely aping The Incredibles, like DreamWorks often does, but which is fine. And I don't remember it really having like the issues I have with a lot of DreamWorks movies. So the ones I don't like as much. So I think overall I liked it, but I said, it's just kind of hard to remember the story until you're reintroduced to it.
You're also dealing with two of my favorite actors of all time with Emma Stone and Ryan Reynolds. So, there's a likability factor there that immediately is going to be
I thought you were going to say Nicolas Cage. What's wrong with Nicolas Cage?
Nothing's wrong with Nicolas Cage. I'm just a Ryan Reynolds, Emma Stone guy.
I do wish Cage did more, and maybe he's done more animated work than I'm aware of, but I don't feel like he's done that much. And his voice definitely works really well with that character.
I agree. Danae, have you seen The Croods?
Nope.
Take a drink. Let's move into the Sins video. This was a Dicer Share script. Barrett and I wrote on this one. Danae, why don't you kick us off with some thoughts on the video?
I don't want to go into the details, but Eeps in her late teens and cavemen and women are well known to be hairy. So what's up with the lack of armpit involvement?
Yeah.
Does she have a secret bottle of Nair in the cave? Good question.
Yep.
But I like how you're like, let's not talk too much because she's underage and I don't want to go into too much conversation about body hair.
Yeah.
But here's how I'm approaching it. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Crispy Bear, formerly known as Pyromaniac Bear, was one that cracked me up. When they were eating the bird from the inside out, just the observation of this is usually how my Thanksgiving dinners turn out. Only this is much less arguing about politics and religion.
Yep.
Just kind of a little fun thing. Trying to walk on stilts, being like trying to fuck in a tornado. That was an interesting moment where I was like, how would that, like, I began to try to imagine, like, I shouldn't have thought about it, but I did.
Well, the narrator
visually.
made you. Yeah.
And then I realized, oh yeah, I guess this would be because it was just this crazy thing.
There was a
So it took me a minute.
There was a similar sin that we wrote in the boys video about levitation sex. About trying to have sex in the middle of the air, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was just a funny thing where
I would try that though. If my wife and I could levitate, I would absolutely try that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
why wouldn't you?
Well, levitation is far less dangerous than stilts. I feel like stilts,
Yeah.
you
Or
would
the
need to, like,
tornado. Yeah.
major injury. Yeah, stilts mixed with tornado. Yeah.
I would not try during a tornado, no.
Good choice. Good choice.
And just like that, Eep was pregnant. That's how it worked back then.
Yeah.
Also cracked me up. Jeremy's skip for the last thing my parents told me, and then just the inspiration for doing, like, saying like a caveman for him to deliver the Jeremy skip now was really, really fun. The almighty moon, the almighty sun was fun, both astrological scientific reasons as well as melt your face off reasons, and frying your retina reasons. And the last one that I wrote down was no more hiding in caves. And then Grug's family, exhausted from exposure to the elements, became a meal for a nocturnal predator 1 week later, because honestly, caves are really a good idea.
Yeah.
For never having seen the movie, I really enjoyed the Sin script on this one because I felt like I was going on a journey of the movie. Like, I kind of could get a feel for what was happening, but also the Sins were making sense. Sometimes whenever I watch a Sins movie, I'm just confused and I'm trying to figure it out and I forget to enjoy the Sins. This one, I didn't have that experience. I was really having a fun time.
Nice.
Watching the movie, learning about what the movie is about through the Sins. So, great job.
Jonathan, what about you?
I was not expecting this movie to start the same way as Sinister. I thought that was really funny. Using your grandmother as a coin was great. Applying a ding tax is always great. I loved Jeremy doing Neil Diamond.
He sang a lot in this one. Barrett and I put him through some tunes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very funny. And then miming something that you could just explain quicker was very funny.
Yep, it's not the miming that's the problem. It's the fact that if you just said it, it'd be a lot quicker. I will also mention Catholic school. After they said basically anything fun is bad. That was a favorite
I loved that.
In the comments. And then but this is a story about how, and then the comment that's kind of like a theme song for a sitcom, and then singing the Crude Stone. Am a Crude Stone. I thought was a lot of fun. Interestingly enough, there was the sin about this is like the Eagles picking a random player to quarterback each game, and then wait, that just might work. This is one of those interesting things where this script was written months ago, and so that was something I just did a quick search on, like who was having like quarterback switching issues, and the Eagles were. If it were written now, I'd probably pick a different team. Like the fact that the Broncos have 4 quarterbacks with COVID right now, so they don't
that was my favorite story this weekend.
just all the quarterbacks that couldn't play.
Well, that, and I'm a Raiders fan, so anything happening to the Broncos is just not that I want them to be sick, which we don't know that they're sick. I mean, they were not following protocol, and so they had to be quarantined.
Well, and the only reason I bring it up is just because we kind of walk that fine line of what is true today, what's going to be true for a few months from now when this airs. Trying to figure jokes out and that kind of stuff. So that's why I bring it up. The observation that cave people wouldn't have been amazed by the fire itself. They would have been amazed by the ability to make fire, which is a different thing because they would have seen fire before. It's just, and so the fact that she's all amazed in seeing the fire was a little bit weird to me. And so I like that sin. Conch blocking, I had to mention. And then the reverse Rocky speech. And if you can't change and I can't change, everybody can't change.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I enjoyed doing that as well.
So I'm going to do a little bit of like a little whoopsie. We forgot to get Barrett's thoughts on this movie and for Billie Eilish too. So do you want me to read about his thoughts on Croods first and then like do a little like sweet kickback over to that
let's
one?
just hear what Barrett had to say about both those things now that we've been through them both. Yeah.
Okay. Barrett for Croods said, the Croods is way better than it had any right to be. It's still stupid, but it's fun.
Fair enough.
It has a terrific cast. My love for Emma Stone knows no bounds, so I was immediately drawn to the Eve character. Ryan Reynolds is solid, if formulaic, and Nick Cage does Nick Cage shit. I like the release the baby bit, even though it didn't make any sense. Anyway, I wasn't bored during this movie, and at least it wasn't a musical. So 6 out of 10. My favorite sin is about the lack of Eep's armpit hair. Don't know exactly why. And he had quite a bit to say on Billie Eilish's video. He says, I love this video partly because it's very true that I've always wanted to run around in a mall when no one's there. Malls fascinate me for some reason. I worked in one for about 6 to 9 months after graduating high school and really enjoyed it. I don't think indoor malls really exist anymore, but I love them. The song itself is a goddamn banger, and I wasn't bullshitting when I started to sing that line about her haters, then thought about what she may have gone through with the press being all up in her business, especially with her body. She's perfect the way she is, and most importantly, she seems to know that. So after that realization, I had to remove a sin, but there was a lot that was sinful in the video, especially the mall itself. The fucking snack bars being not only open, but chock full of food after hours was the most annoying thing. And it really bothered me that she didn't eat any of the pretzel when she at least took a bite/drink off of everything else.
Amen.
Anyway, Billie's badass. The video kicks butt, and I'm jealous as hell that she got to do this and I didn't.
Nice.
I'm confused. He doesn't think inside malls exist. They absolutely still exist. I mean, I know they're not as popular, but he's got 3 within like 30 minutes of them. What is he talking about?
Yeah, it could be a pandemic thing too. Just the idea of like, will these things...
or maybe they don't exist in that same type of like you don't have food courts the way you used to and stuff like that.
It's definitely
that's
changed.
probably what he's talking about.
That's true. It's definitely changed.
It's very different. And we do like when they built a new one here by me, they made it all outdoor, which I think that's the more common thing now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And we're now joined for our last movie of the week. Animal Crackers is the final movie that was sinned this week. We're joined by, what would you say, the creator, the storyteller, how would you define yourself, Scott? We're joined by Scott Sava.
It's hard because I don't want it to sound too long, but I'm the creator because I wrote it originally as a book, but I also wrote the screenplay and I directed and I produced it and art directed. But yeah, it's.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah. Sounds like you're the creator.
Yeah, I think we can go with creator.
Thing, yeah.
I think we can go with creator. This is a first for Behind the Sins to actually be talking about a Sins video with the creator of the movie that we're talking about. A little bit of trepidation tiptoeing into this. You never know kind of how.
Not nerve-wracking at all.
No,
we didn't write it. We didn't write it.
That's true. So. That is the benefit. I should mention this was an Atkinson Scott script. So Chris and Jeremy wrote on this one. The OG Sin Lords took this one on, and I thought did a fantastic job. And I guess I would start there, Scott. Like as you're watching this video, how are you feeling as the creator of this material?
Oh, joy. It was, like I said on Twitter, I was like, I've arrived. It was everything I had hoped it would be because I wanted them to be cruel, and they were. And so I figured if they can make me cry, then it was worth it. And
I think it was fun. I was reading in the because usually like Chris and Barrett or Jeremy will all send in their notes on what they've written on, and I saw them kind of send in their notes, and I think I saw that they sent you the script before we actually put it into production, like that you had a chance to see our Sins script before it went out.
No.
Is that true?
No. They just sent me the finished. They sent it to me like on Sunday just to
Oh, the
watch it.
finished
Just make sure
video.
here's the finished video. And I said, I love it. I said, I only had 2 notes, which they didn't change, but I was like, they're not notes to change, but just so you know, someone might point them out. And
Ooh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Let's get into that here in a little bit. Danae, why don't you read what the guys had to say first, and we'll start there. So, what did Jeremy and Chris have to say about this movie/video?
Okay, I'll start with Chris's notes. He said, we had been living with the Animal Cracker story for a couple of years, and the discussion about sending this movie was always on the table. Scott, I think, loved the idea that we would take on this movie. It was the first real test of, can we be objective when it comes to sending a movie? We don't want to be mean, but we also don't want to pull punches if we see something that we normally would write a sin for. One of the biggest sins of this movie that Scott acknowledges is the mysterious third brother missing that would make Owen the nephew of Bob and Horatio. But the movie blasts past the early Bob Horatio years and blasts past Owen and Zoe's childhood, so it never really has time to address that. There's also confusion about Bob and Talia's existence as a dog and cat at the time that Horatio burns down the trailer, and with it, the human cookies they need to change back. Like, why are they dog and cat at the moment? And why doesn't Chesterfield, who knows all about the animal crackers, know that Bob and Talia are the dog and cat? Or if he does, why he's keeping it a secret from Owen and Zoe? Because I am a professional nitpicker. My favorite thing I found during this montage where Chesterfield is given Owen different cookies to try out after his human cookie goes missing. There's no reason that they need to go to Chesterfield to pick out the cookies. Owen is actually in possession of the box and can certainly pick out different animals himself. Anyway, I had a great time with Animal Crackers. It's been fun seeing the feedback from people who have listened to the podcast and rooted for this movie to find a release. And we even got chastised when we didn't mention it when it would randomly appear on a release schedule. Anyway, had to tell these people, quote, if we heard the movie was actually coming out, we'd be talking about it. As such, those release dates were always fool's gold until it got picked up by Netflix. We sent it to Scott before it was released, and he seemed to be happy with what we did, so I'm happy about that.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Scott, any response to those thoughts from Chris?
There's so many things wrong with the movie that I feel that they only glazed over the most obvious ones, but they hit the right ones. And it's funny because you tell a story and you don't know what parts are working and what parts aren't until you send it out there. And it's different. Like, I've written a lot of books. It's different, and I do web comics when you get feedback from people as a page goes up and whatnot, and you can kind of almost fix it along the way. Or if it's a book, you might hear from an editor or whatever. But when it goes out on Netflix without any feedback, it goes on to Netflix to 200 million people, you get like everybody like pinpoints right on, well, who's his father? Who's Owen's father? I don't understand it. I was responding to every single post, every single YouTube comment, everything, to the point where I had to set up macros where I hit UU for uncles and it explains like a paragraph because like everybody was asking. So I set up macros for like all of this stuff.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
So it's fun, but it's so wonderful to hear that stuff. You want to go back and fix it, but you kind of just got to, it's too late. I can always fix it in the sequel. I can always explain, because it didn't even occur to me that anybody would care who Owen's father was. But it came up a lot. Yeah,
nitpickers nitpick. That's certainly something we know. Yeah, it's really interesting because nitpicking can fall into several categories too, right? Like there's things that a movie does purposefully because it's just good movie making, even though it can be nitpicked. There's things that a movie has to do just because it's problem solving. You just have to get from point A to point B. And then there are mistakes. Yeah. There are errors, because we all make mistakes and errors. So it's fun to kind of what we do. It's fun to joke about those things and understand that it's just part of the artistic process and to joke about them. And so it's really interesting to hear that perspective.
It was my first film. I'm sorry, it was my first film. So of course there's going to be all of those things,
sure.
All three of them.
Right.
When I was watching it though, I was watching it and I this beginning opening sequence where we're kind of moving through the introduction of the circus and the characters. And of course you're trying to, you're instantly going, which character am I latching onto as the one that I'm going to be following through the story? And I kind of knew that the guys were going to be sending it because I watched the movie before watching the Sins video very purposefully. And so I was like, I bet they're going to mention something about that. But I kind of found it refreshing a little bit because I didn't know who we were going to be seeing as our main people. And I liked it personally.
It was also one of my favorite sins in the video, which was like, I think it was something like, what's really going to bake your noodle is when I tell you this movie isn't about any of these people. That was really funny.
There's a whole story behind that too, because James Arnold Taylor, who's the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in Clone Wars, and Tara Strong, who is Raven from Teen Titans, and of course both of them do several other characters.
Tara's incredible. She's quite the voice artist.
Yeah. So they had actually were playing Owen and Zoe originally in the original trailer that we did, the original test that we did. They played those characters, and I remember vividly Tara telling me that she had played, I think it's Snow White in the movie Hoodwinked, and then they she did the entire movie, and then Harvey Weinstein came in and replaced her and all the other voice actors with quote unquote stars, and she got replaced. And when we were making the movie, it was going to be a small $12 million budget direct to DVD kind of movie, and we weren't expecting any of the cast, the big names to come on. We just threw it out there to see if anybody be interested. It's like, basically, does anybody want to work for next to nothing? Hey Stallone, hey Ian McKellen, we don't have any money, but if you feel like, coming out. And we didn't think that they would all say yes. And so suddenly Sylvester Stallone, Ian McKellen, Danny DeVito, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt came on board, and we're going, oh crap, well, what do we do? And I felt so guilty because I remembered that story that Tara told me. Now we hadn't recorded her yet, but she was going to play Zoe, and James was going to play Owen. But now suddenly we had Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, and you can't say no to that. So I created Bob and Talia, and I wanted to give them more screen time. And I didn't realize that I had did it because I held on to it because Tony Bancroft, my co-director, and so many people are like, you got to get rid of this opening. It's so long. It doesn't really do anything. And I'm like, no, it's important to the story. And it wasn't until the movie came out, and everybody's been asking me this, and I had to start talking about the making of the movie enough times to where suddenly all of this started to piece together. This is why I held on to that so much, was because out of a need to not hurt Tara, and she's a professional, and James is a professional, and I'm sure they're not, but I felt like they were the ones who, for free, they helped me, they lent their voices to help me get the movie funded. I had to make sure to, give them enough screen time to take care of them.
That's cool.
And so it's only now that I'm realizing why that opening is so convoluted. Is because I wanted to and also like, that's the only spot where Harvey Fierstein would have been too. So it was like, oh no, and so it's weird because a movie goes from script to finished and characters move around as you're developing them. Petunia the Fat Lady, who's played by my wife now, was originally, that character was Esmeralda, but when I added that whole backstory, I moved Esmeralda to way back then. And so it was just so much that I learned from making this movie.
Sure.
Was just seeing it, through all these phases, and now looking at it and see how other people are seeing the final outcome. And I guess I'm looking at the process as I watch the film. I'm listening to the responses from everybody. I can see how it kind of got all mixed up.
But what a great first movie.
Yeah.
Like, what a really good first movie. Well,
thank you. It was an experience. It was, it's not, it's not going to win any awards. We're not going to, I just wanted to kind of get it out there and just have the experience and learn from it, which I learned a lot, and hopefully do it again and learn a little more and a little, but it's like your first time doing anything. You don't expect much, but I think because the cast came on board, made the expectations a lot higher, and that really, it elevated the film's quality, but it was still just a simple story that I wrote for my kids that, you know, wasn't supposed to be as big as it wound up being.
That's awesome, though.
And to be fair, John Krasinski is nominated for a Critics' Choice Award.
You're right.
Can you believe that? That's insane. I mean, he's going up against Jamie Foxx and several other. Not that the other actors are better so much as they're like Pixar films and stuff.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't expect, but still, the fact that he got nominated is amazing. And he and Emily brought so much genuine love and humor and connection to those characters. I mean, you couldn't make that up. They were so excited to work together. It was their first movie they had ever worked on together. And they were just so excited to do that they were just giggling and laughing the whole time.
Oh yeah, because this was before Quiet Place, right?
This was way before.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
End of 2014, early 2015.
Yeah.
And
That's something that I noted as I was watching, is their interaction between the two of them was like a genuine delight. There's one scene in particular, or there's several scenes in particular. There's one where she like interrupts him to talk, like he's saying that he eats dog biscuits, and she interrupts and like says it for him. That cracked me up because it was just such a genuine married couple thing, you know, where someone delivers a punchline before you do, and it's like your story. This happens with me all the time. Or in the car with their little child, and they start singing the eat apples and bananas. I'm like, that is my life.
It is.
Where,
it is. And the thing is, I didn't write any of that. I didn't. That was all improv.
That's so fun.
I never even heard of the Apples and Bananas song. I mean, we were sitting in the booth going, what's going on? I'm looking at the script. This is nothing like what but it was just something that, and if you watch, because I posted some of the videos, and if you watch the videos of them, Emily starts singing and John's like, and then he kind of picks up on it within a few seconds, and then he kind of jumps in. So it was amazing. And even in the first scene that you mentioned, where he's like, I'm eating dog biscuits, and she's like, well, and he goes, for a job, and then she's trying to like, well, my father. He goes, stop and think about that for a second, and then you can hear it. Emily just starts cracking up, and so we kept the laughing in it, and so throughout, Zoe is constantly laughing at him because he kept making her laugh throughout.
Yeah, it's a really cool part of a character though, because it really makes her so fun, because she's the kind of person that finds joy in laughter, and it really, I don't know, I found their performance specifically to be a true treat.
What did Jeremy have to say? We haven't heard from any of Jeremy's thoughts.
He said it was honestly a singular experience to write sins for Animal Crackers. We're so close to this movie, particularly to Scott. And yet Scott knows and appreciates what we do, so we don't want to pull our punches and make him think we took pity on him. Possible that might even be more offensive. So I wrote as I would write. I think the sins video shows that, other than the final sin removal for Scott. He did like a little smiley face. The movie is original and fun, and the voice performances are really good. I particularly think Sir Ian kills it the most. It's not perfect. It has sins, but so does every movie. My favorite sins to write were the one about Zoe straight up car slaughtering zucchini and passing it off as potholes when it happens in grass. She is homicidal. The dig at P.F. Chang's, which I actually like. It's just fun to randomly bash businesses or states without reason and see people flip out. The one where he asks the little girl what she's afraid of, and I narrate a little girl voice saying, global economic collapse. That was one of my favorites too. And then he finishes off his thoughts by saying, that all came out fun, I think. I loved Chris's sin about Binkley not locking the door. And the one where he made me say 2 eggs and a bacon, as in a singular bacon. Weird wording sins are often fun to narrate, and I was ultimately proud to be able to do our normal thing and not offend the director, and then in parentheses, for once. And in all honesty, we send this movie because we love it, and we love Scott, and we wanted to give it even more exposure. So go to Netflix and watch Animal Crackers, but also stay off the road if Zoe is nearby.
Nice.
I don't think Jeremy should have given up that he really enjoys weirdly worded sins to me and Aaron, though. I don't think that was a good idea.
Yeah,
on his
he's in
part.
for it now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. We'll send some of those on. What about you, Jonathan? What are some of your other thoughts on the movie itself?
Well, like I said, my daughter and I watched it over the summer, and so we really enjoyed it. I mean, the voice cast, which we've talked about. I love that Stallone's in there. By the way, I'm a huge Stallone fan. Do you actually? So I guess we can talk about that more in the comments. But so you are in the booth while they're recording. So like,
yeah.
So you're right there.
Well, the thing is with Stallone. Okay, so as you guys know, I'm a hobbit. I am very introverted. I had to take a lot of Xanax to travel and meet these people. People like Ian McKellen and Emily and John are very they're extroverts. They love being around people, and so they're just like Ian McKellen walked around and he goes, "Hello, would anybody like a picture for social media?" I mean, he's just and Harvey Firestein is just like a whirlwind, and so I was just very quietly sitting there. I mean, I'd smile. I got my picture with everybody. I got their autographs. I did all the geeky stuff that I needed to do. Like it was like, that's what the Xanax is for. Do this, and then you're good. And
like
and
you
then,
only have so many Xanax. Like okay, I'm gonna use my Xanax for this, and this.
Yeah, I've got a list. I've got a to-do list. Any more Xanax and I fall asleep. So I can only do this much. But I found that like halfway through, we're having lunch, and you're sitting there having lunch with Danny DeVito and Ian McKellen, and you're having soup or salad or whatever it is, and it was quiet because I'm not a conversational person. I'm and that happened for 6 months. It was just people like Emily who Emily and John, they were just naturally very talkative. So they would ask me questions, they would pull stuff. But Danny was just eating his food. Sir Ian was just eating their food. And it was just very quiet and awkward. And so it was like, by the time I met Sylvester Stallone, I'd been through it for 6 months. And I was like, okay, I need to write down questions. And I need to have a cheat sheet of things to talk about.
On your hand.
On my hand, yeah, I'd be all sweaty by then. But yeah. So when I actually got to meet Stallone, he just came in with a cup of coffee and said, "Hey, call me Sly." And I said, I pulled out a list.
So
I go,
cool.
"I have questions for you." And he's like, "Shoot." And he spent 45 minutes just answering questions.
That's
I had
so
questions
cool.
about Rocky and certain lines and just how he got through it. And he, at the end of the 45 minutes, he looked in my face and he said, "This is your film." He goes, "Don't let anybody take this from you. This is your Rocky moment. Don't let them take that from you." And so it was like, wow, it was really powerful. I got the Rocky speech from Stallone,
from Rocky himself.
And so, yeah. So I learned from that because of who I am, I really do need to prepare for this. So that was a learning experience for me, was because my meeting with Stallone was very memorable because I got to interact, because all of the things I like, you do that thing where when I'm flying home from London, I'm like, I should have asked Sir Ian McKellen this, or I should have asked Ian McKellen, it's all of those things. Think about them before, take that time before and write them down, because it'll make the meeting much more worth it.
He's just had such a fascinating career. And
Yeah.
I feel like he'll be, I feel like it'll be like another 20 or 30 years before people are really like, oh no, he should have been appreciated a lot more.
Yeah.
Because he's just, he's gone up and down and just, I don't know. And he's very open. And it seems like everybody I've heard that's ever talked to him, he's very open and he'll tell you everything. And, I don't know. It's just cool. So he always, whenever I see him in something, that always just strikes my, interests me. But yeah, the voice cast was insane. I don't know that I've seen an animated film with this good of a voice cast. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But yeah, just it's a really fun movie. I had a really good time with it. My daughter and I had a good time watching it, and I love the animation. I love the way the characters are drawn and everything. So I thought it was a blast.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it too. I just kept thinking how impressive the movie is, just because we live in an era now where I think we're going to be able to start seeing more, independently created movies of this quality. You know, it's when you think back to Toy Story in '95, that only happens because Steve Jobs pours money into Pixar and allows them to do this incredible thing where they make a fully generated movie 25 years ago. And now 25 years later, we have the computing power in most people's homes to render things and to do things. And so it's really interesting to see how the technology has progressed, the ability to put a movie out like this. And I'm watching it and just enjoying it and just really impressed, that this is something that you did and that, it made it real.
Did you have when you were deciding on what the characters would look like and the animals would look like, did you have several artist styles you were choosing from? Because I felt like it was a really interesting. I like the choice in how the people looked, because sometimes I think humans can look a little weird, but I like the way that they looked. They had unique enough features, like blue hair, and even he had blue stubble, so it just showing that it wasn't dyed, he had colored hair, and that was really fun to see. But then also I liked how the animals were animated. They looked just bubbled enough to be an animal cracker, but also, creature enough too. So there had to be so much thought going into how the people and the creatures looked. Did you have a lot of choices, or did you just see it and you knew it, or how did that work?
That's the funny thing is, because I'm an artist, and so you would think that I would have had a picture in my head of what these characters look like, but we wound up through I actually just reached out to him on Facebook, and I'd never met him before, but I met Carter Goodrich. Now Carter Goodrich, he designed the characters. He designed the characters for Ratatouille, Brave, Monsters Inc.
That's amazing.
Croods, Despicable Me, Coco. I mean, he just has this amazingly unique illustrative style, and I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm making an independent movie. I don't have a lot of money, but would you consider working on my film? I'd love your style to dictate the look of this film. And he says, well, I'm really busy, and Disney pays me a lot, but send me the script. And 2 days later, he said, I love it. I'm in.
Aww.
And so I was like, oh my God. And so we got, Disney Pixar's character designer, and he said, okay, well, what ideas do you have? I don't, it's all, everything you see, all of those characters is all from Carter's work.
That's so cool.
So,
you almost you gave him the ability to just create.
Yeah, which he never got at Disney and Pixar. He never got that because he's working with 20 other character designers, and everything becomes an amalgamation of this and that, and there's marketing and there's accountants and there's so much input that he's redesigning the same character 100 times over 5 years. I was just he would give me 4 Chesterfields. I was like, the fat one. Next, he was like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, it's perfect. Move on. He got mad at me the first few times because he thought I was toying with him. He thought I was joking or something. And I was like, no, I hired you for your style. I don't want to change it. This is great. And we were getting into arguments. I'm like, I don't know why we're arguing. I'm happy with this. Let's move on,
But you said he helped design. He worked on the Croods as well.
Yeah,
That's so funny. That was our other video this week, so that's just kind of funny.
Was it?
Yeah.
If you look up Carter Goodrich, he's got his own site, and he's got a little section where you can see his designs, and you're just like, oh my God, he designed Gru he designed Merida from Brave, he designed all of that stuff, and you can see it in his drawings. They're just beautiful. And then on top of that, he does New Yorker covers. And then on top of that, he does these amazing children's books too. So he's
cool.
He's an illustrator through and through. And so as artists, we really connected and we've become friends since. But it's just he is responsible for all of that. Just like Jamie Thomason, our casting director, is responsible for the cast. There's I just sat back and watched, So it is really 100% Carter in that.
I liked the character development because, or the design work, because everybody looked different enough. I can't think of his name, but he's like the T3000 guy who sinks down, and he's the one that was Brock. Thank you.
Yeah.
He had such a unique look compared to everyone else, where he just has this smashed nose and this really interesting profile to look at, and it looked so different from everyone else. Bodies were different, and I just found that to be a more believable world that all these different people and styles can exist in this universe. So
yeah. I mean, it was so fun because he gave me maybe 5 or 6 different versions of Brock, and you just see it, and you're like, that's them. But the hardest one was Owen. He must have done 30 different drawings. We just couldn't come up with, because he's just your every guy. There was nothing about him that was unique. Brock, you kind of knew. Horatio, Chesterfield, but
Linguini.
Owen,
zucchini.
Zucchini, yeah. But Brock Owen was just so difficult, and we eventually it clicked, and it was my idea. I'll take credit for the blue hair, because I was just like, he needed something, because otherwise he's just so plain and so boring. I just thought the blue hair and the purple hair were kind of fun, and then
he would just look like John Krasinski.
He would just look like John Krasinski. Yeah.
So boring, John. You look so boring.
We just need more regular shaped eyebrows. That's all we need.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so neat. And then I guess you put it into the computer, and you're talking about these different angles. And is the storyboarding something that you were working on too?
No. So Tony Bancroft, who directed Mulan, he was my co-director, and Tony was in charge of storyboards. He was head of story as well. And everybody wore multiple hats on the film. So I was art directing, writing, directing, producing. He was head of story and co-directing. And he brought on just like John Pomeroy, who was John Pomeroy co-founded Don Bluth Animation. I mean, he worked with Roy Disney. I mean, he worked on the original Winnie the Pooh, and he was the lead animator of what's Michael J. Fox's character in Atlantis for Disney?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember.
Milo, I think, or something like that.
It seems right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the lead animator of him, and he was he did John Smith in Pocahontas, and so I mean, he was just a famous animator, and he lives here in Brentwood, Tennessee. And so he brought him on to do storyboards. He brought several really, really talented and famous storyboard artists. So the storyboard artists we got were all Disney people as well, because Tony had these wonderful connections, and they just kind of moonlighted for us after work, which was really cool. So yes, we got wonderful storyboard artists too.
The reason I asked is because one of the things I loved was, and it's mentioned, I think maybe even a sin off is given during the Animals Return to the Circus Queen montage. Which literally gave me chills.
Yeah.
Just all those cool shots that are all happening, and all these different, because you can have an animated movie that's just sort of they're moving from one side of the room to the other, but then there's just really cool camera angles, and it's really emotional feeling. It was just really well done. So
that was now that particular scene. I'll give credit to Jaime Maestro, who was our overseas director in Spain, and he came up with that whole. He actually picked the Queen song. And it was just one day I wake up and he's like, what do you think of this? Because I was like, oh, we'll put a montage here. But I never pick out a song. It was just, I just wrote musical montage. Fun stuff happens. And
things.
So he sends me this cut animatic with the Queen song. And what he had originally done was he put the entire song, which is really long. And I was like, it's a cool song, but I mean, it's really dragging along. And so I wasn't really sold on it at first. And then so he cut it. And then I was like, okay, this is really cool. And so I reached out to our music supervisor, Andy Ross, who the guys had on their podcast, because he did Whiplash, and Barrett's a huge fan of Whiplash.
Yeah.
And Andy's like, yeah, you're not going to get Queen. It's going to be, because we had no budget, I was like, you're not going to get Queen. I was like, but the more we listened to it, we're like, God, it's just so perfect. And we had already started animating to it, and it was just, and so I said, Andy, we've got to try to get this Queen song. He was like, Scott, they're Queen. You don't have any money. They're not just going to give it to you. And so I got him to convince Queen to let us send them the clip. They watched it. They fell in love with it. They gave it to us for a song for next to nothing. But it was just and that was pretty much the entire movie was you really shouldn't get Carter Goodrich. You really shouldn't get Queen. You really shouldn't get John Krasinski and Emily. But people just kind of, they saw they either saw the charm or they've pitied me. And I don't mind either one. But people, somehow they were just like, what the heck,
I don't know. There's something about the story. Like, it can be great animation and it can have great music and stuff. But if the story blows, it shows, right? So I didn't mean to rhyme there, but that sounded super on purpose.
No, it's really well done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's a really great thing to just pull out of audio. If it blows, it shows. It just doesn't sound good. So we're going to pretend that was
of the day. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's skip over that.
Or maybe they were doing stuff for their kids. They were like, "This is a movie my kids can watch," and especially when John and Emily have younger kids. I know.
How clever! You eat a cookie, you turn into the creature, but then the magic box has your like. That's just such a clever thing. What a fun story. Like, here, look, I brought an animal cracker.
Oh, nice.
It's a cow. I don't know that I want to try this in front of you because I don't want to be disappointed and not turn into a cow. But, it's just what a fun thing to do. Like, and I think people probably connected to the story of it. And you're right, Jonathan, if you have kids and you want to see this come to life, but that speaks to like your creativity and what you're presenting. Because if it wasn't good, people wouldn't be attaching themselves to it.
Yeah,
I would hope so. I mean, the thing I heard a lot from the actors and whatnot was that it had heart.
Yeah,
and I think it's one of those things where what I lacked in experience and talent, I made up for in just heart. Because I wrote the story for my kids, and and I think there was sincerity to it. The problem is with the audiences, they compare everything to a $150 million Pixar Disney, and that's the problem that just is visually a Pixar film is edited to perfection. They're just perfect all the way through. They might lack the heart. They might lack some of the originality because they go through that machine, but people expect that. People are accustomed to that. You throw out something that, we never really got a chance to edit the film. So our film was never edited. It's the first time I had all that opening story, all the stuff and you just kind of got thrown out there with no marketing, and people were like, you can't compare the two. There's no comparison. So I feel that thanks to the podcast, the CinemaSins podcast, I think that people having a bit of backstory and realizing these are not apples and apples. They're two separate things. They can't be compared to in the same way.
You had these massive big hitters come and be like, we like the story, we're sitting in this camp. Like, that's got to feel so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
It does.
Definitely not apples when you're dealing with CinemaSins. No, nothing's apples to apples, because apples indicate very bad things.
Apples are assholes.
That's right. Crazy, though. You say that you really didn't even get much of an edit to it.
No, we didn't get an edit at all.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
What happened was when we delivered the film to Netflix, they took every single shot. It basically, it's every shot we ever animated, and they just put it up onto Netflix. And we were never given a chance to edit the film. And that was because of the legal issues we were going through with the that one investor. But that was something Tony and I like. We always thought we were going to get to sit down in an editing room and cut 15-20 minutes out of that opening, because by that point I'd realized, okay, a lot of people are mentioning this is a little slow, let's kind of trim this up, and but no, we never got to. I think despite that, basically you got the Snyder cut of Animal Crackers.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think I can also see it being an inspirational thing for other animators and storytellers out there who will see your story where you have heart and you have this experience, and it's a different type of a story that doesn't have, maybe all of the budget or the Pixar stuff that we're talking about. But I don't know, I find that I get inspired by stories like that. I would say that maybe we could put it in the underdog category essentially, but not even that. Just the idea that if you create something, that there's still a chance that it's going to be picked up and widely enjoyed, because it's not that it's out there and people aren't enjoying it. People love it. And that's the other cool part. Like, sure, there's stuff that we would all go back and change on any number of things, but
Yeah, Danae, that's all very, very inspiring and heartwarming.
Let's talk about the sins now.
Yeah, we got a job to do here. Let's get into the video and talk a little bit about the sins themselves. Scott, do you want to start us off with some of your like things that stood out to you from the video, like sins that made you laugh, or?
I mean, the whole thing made me laugh with joy. It was wonderful. The two notes that I had for Barrett when he sent it to me, which weren't notes, but the funny ones were, the first one was about Tony Bancroft. You know, Tony Bancroft directed Mulan, and this opening scene is "Be Our Guest" from Beauty and the Beast.
And, right? Yeah.
Which first of all, completely true. We totally ripped off the Beauty and the Beast song. I mean, that was the whole point of it, you know. But second of all,
still from the best.
Yeah, Tony was one of the lead animators of Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast. So I told him, like, he actually animated in that scene, you know? So, you know, your fans might pick that up. And the other one was the Lion King one, where he's like, Tony Bancroft directed Mulan. He didn't do the Lion King. I was like, he was literally the lead animator of Pumbaa. So those were two of the funny ones that I remember pointing out to him. I was like, I don't have a problem with it. I was just, you know,
that's
might
great.
want to, you know,
do some research, guys.
Come on, yeah.
Google, man. Google.
Jonathan, what were some of your favorite sins from the video?
Saying stuff in French that was perfectly fine in English. That was just a very, very Jeremy thing. Jeremy doing The Simpsons was great.
Yeah, that was cute.
I like the subtle, not subtle, but the small ones, like attempted murder. I thought was a great one, and just the term meat vomit, which I had never heard. Oh my god! And I take a little umbrage with avoid P.F. Chang's. P.F. Chang's is tasty.
Yeah,
and I've been to that one in Cool Springs many times. It's very tasty.
There's Cool Springs again. It's just making its way into the conversation.
I also wanted to mention, how can you make biscuits that have too much mayonnaise but not make a biscuit that tastes like a hamburger? That made me giggle quite a bit. And then the one that I was just like, was, wait, does Owen's phone ring like a call when he gets texts? Like, you know, just that observation of why is his phone ringing, I thought was really good too.
Phone sins are always easy to pick out in things because it's so interesting how we show that people are on a phone in media. They'll pick up their phone and it doesn't go black, and so we can sin that it doesn't go dark because it's fake. You know, there's so many ways to sin phones. It's
also, this is you doing phones in like 2014, right? And
it's true.
I mean,
it's a fair point.
That's true. Much has changed.
Danae, did you have any sins you wanted to bring to the forefront?
I cracked up at quite a few. When they say I hate it when Esmeralda refers to her boobs as the Himalayas, I died. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Sinning the trees that don't grow naturally like this, and the city wasting a ton of unnecessary money on tree pruning was really great. The whole manure sin was a delight to listen to, and I have more on that in my comment section. So I think a lot of it though continues to be the delivery, the way that Jeremy delivers.
Yeah.
Scene does not contain a Balrog. Loved that.
Yeah.
I got to say, you mentioned the one sin about the cans with the different flavors, the mayonnaise and whatnot, and I think one of them is spelled wrong, and he pointed it out. I totally didn't pick up on that. And the thing is, because it was done in Spain, and that's not, English isn't their language, so it's so funny that like it got past everybody, and Jeremy found it.
Yeah, it's funny. We have the same thing with our videos. Our job is to nitpick this stuff, and we will go to the comments and be like, how did we spell "your" wrong in our subtitles? Like, this went through 10 people. Like, you know, like you just become, there's an error blindness that happens where, you know, you just, it looks good, you know, and it's
crazy.
One of my lessons is, is don't trust Spanish to write perfect English. You got to spell check it.
Sure.
I did want to mention though, since you talked about talking to Stallone, I love the Rocky IV outtake, and I think if I met Stallone, I would 100% ask him about that speech, because even in like 1985, we were like, that was weird. Does he think Does he think he just solved the crisis between the U.S. and Russia with a boxing match?
Yeah. It's also funny because
he cured racism.
He cured racism, and we just talked about that in the past/future to us, depending on where you are. Because there's a sin about that in the Croods. There's that same Rocky speech comes up in the Croods video. So that's always funny how that happens. Yeah, amazing stuff.
Chris and I will recite that to each other sometimes because we just think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's the kind of relationship, friendship people aim to achieve in their lives.
Yeah, Rocky speech quoting.
If you can change.
For me, it's the Independence Day speech. I will just randomly give that to to people every once in a while.
He's not joking, by the way.
Well, I asked Alone about the speech from was it Rocky 5? The one where he's talking to his son. He's like, nothing hits you harder than life, and it just keeps coming and it keeps not. I asked him about that. I was like, where'd you get? He's like, I just came up with that. I was like, that's like one of the greatest Rocky speeches ever.
It really is, and that was Sage, right, in that movie, wasn't it? I think that was his son in real life.
Yeah, plays his son, I think so.
Who passed away. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I haven't watched the fifth one in a long time.
That's amazing. Amazing stuff.
I only had one other sin, and it's a question that doesn't mean anything, but that's what the show is. The TV dinner, was it hot or was it cold?
It was cold.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
It was cold. He was just eating cold TV dinner.
The back and forth, but still, but maybe. But nah, but still.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and if sometimes you eat a cold TV dinner, it happens.
That's
right. All right, let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
This is the segment of the show where we usually talk about our writing process and kind of interesting research we had to do, reasons we're on an FBI watch list now, all that kind of fun stuff. But we've got the writer of Animal Crackers with us. So, Scott, I want to go back to the writing process for our Keeping Tabs section and just ask you, was there any kind of weird, strange research you had to do? Things, that you never, stories behind how things came to you? Kind of take us back to the origins and if there are any funny stories or interesting stories, back then.
Yeah. The whole idea came from me eating animal crackers with my kids in the backyard. So we were just playing around and it was just like, hey, what if when you ate this lion cookie, you become a lion, So that was kind of fun. And, but when I wrote it as a graphic novel, which I do all of my stuff. I wrote graphic novels. Never wrote a screenplay. It was actually my buddy Kevin Grievous who wrote Underworld. He told me, he's like, why don't you turn this into a screenplay? I was like, I went to art school. I don't know anything about writing a screenplay. He's like, I was a microbiologist when I wrote Underworld because you don't need a degree or anything. You just write it, So he was the one who actually convinced me to write the script. And when I did, because in the book, it's Owen and Zoe are brother and sister because they're my niece and nephew, my wife's sister's kids. And so I decided to age them up because, really people don't want, it was going to be a live action film originally, and people don't want to have kid actors at the time. So I made them husband and wife. So that was kind of weird to do that and then see that happen, and then it wound up becoming an animated movie anyhow. But I didn't change a single thing from the script, from live action to animation. It was just we just used the same script.
Wow.
So now I want to see this live action version as well.
Well, yeah. Hey, listen, that's in vogue right now. We all expect the Animal Crackers, the live action version, within the next few years. I think it should happen.
This time with less build-up in the beginning.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we expect you to address every single thing mentioned in the Sins video for the live action.
What you could do, though, you could turn it into two movies. You could have the prequel, and then there you go.
Give it the Peter Jackson treatment.
There you go.
So did you do any, when you were writing, did you do any research into animal behavior that you wanted to have fun with, or biscuit making, or
what happens to children when they ingest unregulated items that have them change colors and belch a lot?
You guys have to warn me before I drink. That, by the way. Thank you.
There was only 2 times that I did research. The first time was when Ian McKellen said he'd do it. I got out a thesaurus because there was no way I was going to let a Shakespearean actor read my 3rd grade level writing.
That's amazing.
I did that. And then when Emily Blunt came on board, I went back and I was kind of looking at the landscape because this was 2015. I was kind of looking at the Me Too landscape,
Sure.
and looking at it from a woman's point of view because what had happened was John was like, hey, my wife really thinks the script is great. And, he's like, do you want her to come in the movie? And we're like, yeah. And so, hey, you want to be in the movie? Yeah. That's how Emily came on board. Like, we didn't pitch it to her. John pitched her to us. So I kind of looked at it and went, oh, crap. And I looked at it from, as best as I could, from a woman's point of view, and went, she's just the wife. There's nothing here. And so I went back and I said, I've got to rewrite this with her as a living, breathing human being, because that is just, and so she became so much stronger throughout several more passes, where she was the one who took the initiative to go and save the circus. She's the one she and Mackenzie go and help save, defeat Horatio. So she becomes more of a driving force, and in doing so, it started to mirror my relationship with my wife, because before this movie happened, we were on food stamps. Our house was in foreclosure, and we were trying to make a movie, and we weren't able to raise the funds. And my wife said, you know what? I will go back to work, and I will keep the house payments going. I will keep us fed while you figure this out. And so she went back to work for 3 years, and working odd jobs and working at Target or whatever she could to keep us afloat so we can make this happen. So it's always been a teamwork kind of situation. And so there was that moment. It took Emily Blunt to come on my movie, but there was this moment where I had to see how I was writing very myopically.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was one of the things about that I had written in my notes I didn't talk about, was the choice to give her the circus, that she takes the reins and she makes it happen. I personally loved that. And I loved the little girl being able to, save the day at the end, against this big, chimera or chimera, depending on how you pronounce it. GIF. We can have that conversation later. But that's really a beautiful thing to be inspired by those that are coming on board, that you want to honor their perspective, and then also being able to fold in your wife too. That just makes me love it, even more.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I really can't take. I mean, if anything, I feel bad for not seeing it initially, but
sure,
that's a part of growing up. I mean, I'm 51. I'll be 52 on Friday, but we're always constantly learning, constantly trying to become better people, and by seeing the world through other people's eyes, and that's one thing that art and writing definitely helps you do. It definitely, hopefully, makes you a better person, and I hope to be able to do that more, and take it and build on that.
Happy birthday,
really common
by the way.
thing. Yeah, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
It is a common thing too for someone to go, okay, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then it takes them time to come around.
Yeah,
it just seemed like a really real thing to happen.
Yeah,
It
was actually a point of contention, not in a mean way, but Tony Bancroft, my co-director, was coming at it from the Disney kind of I want to say conveyor, but it's a production line kind of thing. It's the Disney way of doing things. It's what's called the hero's journey.
Right.
And so he wanted it to be, we've got to get rid of the beginning. We should start with Owen and end with Owen, and the whole thing should be about Owen. We got to make it easy for the viewers to know who the hero is, what they're doing, stay on them as much as possible, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need Binkley's story. We don't need Brock's story. We don't need Horatio's story. We don't need all this backstory.
Or Bullet Man. Bullet Man had his moment.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that that's a very Disney thing to do, and so I just, as I was watching how the world was changing, as I was realizing how my relationship with my wife mirrored Zoe and Owen, I was fighting for that on the sidelines, going, oh, this is really what I want to do. And it was tough because I wanted I mean, Binkley goes from this shy, stuttering person to co-owning, the company. I wanted everybody to have their own arcs, and I wanted to make sure that the women had that were more realistic. And so it was just, and it wasn't that Tony was fighting me against that, because I mean he has all daughters. I mean he definitely wasn't fighting me from a chauvinistic point of view, but the status quo, the way that big studios like Disney work is focus on the hero and that hero's journey concept.
It's just refreshing to see something different though, because we're trained for that. Like I said at the very beginning, I was trained. I'm like looking for who am I supposed to know, but this gave so much more, like more story. There was more there.
It's not confusing. And I mean, like I said, I watched it with my daughter. I mean, she was never like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not confusing at all. And yeah, like Danae said, I mean, the animation and the storytelling I liked a lot because it was different. And nothing against. I mean, Disney and Pixar, obviously, and DreamWorks even occasionally, they make very good movies, obviously. Yeah. But it's nice to see something different every now and then.
Yeah. I agree. 100% agree.
I want to go back real quick, though. You said John pitched Emily. I just, like, that to me is funny because it's like, was he like, by the way, I'm married to an actor. And
it's even funnier if I tell you the whole story, which is when I was, we didn't have Owen and Zoe. We had Stallone, we had everybody else, but we didn't have Owen and Zoe. When Jamie Thomason, our casting director, said, hey, what do you think about John Krasinski? I said, who? And he's like, the guy from The Office. Like, I've never seen The Office. Well, he was in a movie, Leatherheads. I'm like, the one with George Clooney? Yeah. Like, which one? One of the football guys. I don't remember. Okay, well, trust me, he's funny. Okay, well, I trust you. And so we brought in John Krasinski. I flew out from Nashville to LA. I met with John, and he was fantastic. So we did the whole session, and he was amazing. We're like, okay, you're definitely Owen. Afterwards, it was when he's like, hey, he goes, my wife just absolutely loved your script, just thought it was adorable. And I didn't know who he was married to because I didn't know who he was. So I was like, oh, thanks. And I walked away. So fortunately, the mics were hot and everybody in the room comes running into the studio and they're like, wait, John. Yeah, and so I'm like, why are you pestering this poor man about his wife? That's just rude, So it wasn't until later I found that he was married to Emily Blunt. But yeah, so it was a little more embarrassing than I originally
That'd be funny if he was like, my wife was interested in, would you be interested in her being in the movie? And it's more of like a pat on the head. Sure, buddy. Sure. Sure. I'm sure your wife is, I'm sure she's really talented, but
I'll try my wife first and we'll see.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
I do wonder though, if oftentimes those famous people can appreciate that someone doesn't know who they are and gets to like meet them on a different level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was warned ahead of time not to tell John that I didn't know who the hell he was. So
right.
I don't think it came up in conversation.
Well, trouble for you. He loves our podcast.
Yeah, he's a big listener now. So I think
so he's going to find out.
Yeah, he's going to figure it out once this goes out. All right, let's move on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're just going to take a look at the comments specifically from Animal Crackers this week since we've got Scott with us hanging out. Scott, why don't you kick us off again as you went through the comments and answered them one by one as you are wont to do. How did you feel about some of our comments?
I thought they were great. I wound up writing a macro for explaining to everybody who had asked, what the hell is this movie? I've never even heard of it. So yes, you'll see the copy and paste of the guys did a CinemaSins podcast of this, and you can see it here on Netflix and yada, yada, yada. But that was probably the most popular one is, what the hell movie is this? Why are you even doing this? I've never heard of it. So that was fun. I think I had a lot of fun just teasing some people, and because people were like, wait, is this really the official YouTube account?
Are you actually the guy? Like,
yeah. But my favorite here, I brought it up. My favorite conversation with somebody was this guy named Metro said, this movie was so boring. I put it on, fell asleep, and forgot I ever watched it. To which I replied, I replied, well, glad we could help you get some sleep. He responded, what the hell? It's the Animal Crackers movie. To which I wrote, that's right. It's the movie. Now go back and watch it and love it. Love it like you've never loved a movie before. And then he responded, I'm signing into Netflix at an alarming rate to experience the film Animal Crackers and fulfill my life's purpose. So I thought that was a fun
That's awesome.
interaction.
Oh, that is so great.
I envy that you have the stomach to go through YouTube comments and answer all of them. I wish I had that.
I've found that 99.9% of the time, once people realize that they're speaking to the creator of the thing, and as long as you come in with a thank you, they almost always change their mind. I mean, I can't count. Actually, give me a second.
Give me a second.
If I go to our YouTube channel and I look at our trailer, we have how many thousands of 8,000 comments on this. So we have 8,000 comments. I've responded to every single one of them. So I have found with every single one of those, because there's, I would say, a third of those comments are, this sucks. This is, this is the worst. This looks like it. And I've responded to every single one of them. And I think every single one of them has responded to me saying, you know what, actually might not be so bad. I'll give it a shot. And and so it's just, I take the Mr. Rogers approach. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is just show them some kindness, show them that you're a human being. And this is my film, and I answer all the questions. And I just found that it's not a cure-all. I mean, there's just people who are just trying to be trolls. But for the most part, you can find people's humanity by just giving them a chance.
Yeah, I think many times they think they're being funny. They think they're, this is what you do on YouTube, and that kind of thing. And no, I am completely with you, and I really appreciate that about you. I think that's really cool.
That's very cool.
Danae, what about you? What were some of your favorite comments?
Well, I only chose one this week because I'm going to obey the rules of our show.
Okay, sounds good.
This one comes from Pilot Yoda, who says, did you notice that the sign on the manure farm was B. Tannen, as in Biff Tannen from Back to the Future? The guy who kept running into the manure truck? I can't believe that didn't get a mention. And I thought I'd bring it up and see if that was intentional.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way to do that accidentally, I don't think. So it was definitely a nod to Back to the Future.
Yeah,
awesome.
We did the outtake on that too, didn't we? In the outtake package at the end?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was brought up, at least referenced. Jonathan, what about you?
I just picked, this is a movie you can definitely watch while you're high. I thought that was hilarious. And now I'm really curious what you commented on that with.
Oh, yeah. Well, a couple people had mentioned, I'm sure the writer was high when he wrote it, too. So, I said no, but it probably would have helped.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, is there a movie you can't watch while you're high? Like, I'm trying to, not that I'm an expert, but.
Oh, man, I will never forget the first movie I ever saw when I was high. It was, is it The Bone Collector?
Oh, my.
With Denzel Washington?
Yeah, is it Denzel? And he's
he's in the bed, he's quadriplegic or whatever, yeah.
Oh, what's her
Angelina
name?
Jolie.
Thank you. This is why I love not having to have a brain myself and come up with this stuff. All I have to do is just do the. I watched that movie. It was the first movie I ever watched high, and I swear to God, I spent the first 20 minutes convinced that I had already figured the movie out because I was just like, well, I know exactly what's going on.
I've got galaxy brain.
I had galaxy brain. Like my mind is open up to the universe, and I'm watching this mystery, and it was
amazing.
Incredibly intense.
It's amazing.
I don't recommend it. Actually, it was exhausting.
I'll mention this one first, just because it's one of my favorite running gags in the comment section. But Bernal Animates was the one this time that said, "Why does this comment say 17 hours ago, but the video was posted 3 minutes ago?"
Guys, don't you know by now?
The first response is just, "Bruh."
That's gotta be.
And then the second response is, "Hold on, I get to say it this time. It's the Patreon members." I just love that it's become a running gag in the comment section. I love the speaking of the high thing, or speaking of, I guess, drugs. Harl's in charge says, "I'm pretty sure they had access to Yzma's secret lab from the Emperor's New Groove." I thought that was a funny comment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Triple G says, "I'm not wasting my time asking you a question you've answered in an interview. I'm asking you the hard-hitting question. What is your favorite animal? So, Scott, the hard-hitting question has been asked. What is your favorite
animal? I already
animal?
answered it.
Yeah, what did you say?
I said a cheetah, the fastest land animal.
Nice. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. Very nice choice indeed. Well, there you go.
If I had one question that we haven't answered so far that I think I might regret not asking, that it's a little bit morbid, is what happens if you eat a people cracker that's not your own people? Do you become that other people?
Yeah, that's why
it's
Chesterfield
mentioned at the end.
Yeah, Chesterfield offers him Brock's cookie. And Owen's like, no. Because he could have been human, but he would have looked like Brock.
Okay, but would he be himself in Brock's body, or would he be Brock?
No, he'd be himself in Brock's body. So you could actually body swap.
Dude!
Yeah.
That's a whole other movie, man.
Yeah, then you can go to another movie where they're eating parts of other people.
And have
you could have that's what if you say at the end, he's like, you got to sort out the pieces, otherwise you're going to have his head on your body, and So
what would happen to like the Sawyer clan and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? They would just be all different people, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a horror spinoff right there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood the rules.
Well,
and what animal crackers do you prefer? The animal you said the ones you ate out in the yard with your kids.
They were the
yes,
Barnum's
thank
one,
you.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones. That's
they got a little bit of a
crackers.
lemony flavor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a shortbread lemon kind of thing. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, the Barnum's one is the correct
The other ones are
answer.
just kind of bland and don't have like any flavor to them. The other ones the other companies make. I've found.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've solved the important discussion now.
Yeah,
let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're each going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we have seen recently. Scott's going to join us for this, and we'll let Scott finish us off. Jonathan, what do you have? Why don't you kick us off?
I guess, although it's only 3 episodes in, because that's all that was made available this past week, but I watched the first 3 episodes of The Flight Attendant on HBO Max, which is a murder mystery kind of thing. It's actually based on a novel from 2018. I'm going to butcher this name, by Chris Bohalian, I'm going to go with. And I'm going to guess that's a silent J, maybe. But anyways, it stars Kaylee Cuoco as the titular character, the flight attendant. She, you find out very quickly, she wakes up after a night in, I believe I can't remember what country she's in now. I mean, she's in an Asian country, but I can't remember specifically where she is. But she, maybe Bangkok. She wakes up in the morning after she's had a affair with somebody she met on the plane, and he is in the bed next to her, horribly slaughtered, just murdered. And she doesn't remember anything that happened the previous night because she got really drunk.
A tale as old as time.
Yeah, tale as old as time. It's happened to all of us.
Happened to all of us,
so it takes off from there. This type of story.
I get it. It takes off from there.
There you go.
Very nicely done.
I feel like Danae now because I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right, Jonathan. You're just very plain spoken. I get it. I understand.
This story's been told a lot. Like there's the Jane Fonda movie, The Morning After, and I feel like this story's been told a lot. But what's really cool about this, what I'm loving so far about it, is that Kaylee Cuoco is so good in this.
Is it a
I hope
comedy?
I'm saying her last name right. It's not. Which it's interesting because I read the book, and the book is straight up thriller. The show is still very much a mystery thriller, but she definitely brings her own kind of acting to it. So it definitely, she's. I mean, I've only really seen her in The Big Bang Theory. I haven't really seen her in much else. I know she was in that show, John Ritter's last show, The 8 Simple Rules, but I didn't watch that. But she's definitely, I don't know if quirky is the right, I guess maybe kind of quirky. She's definitely got that type of thing going on. So there is a little bit of dark humor in it, I would say, because just her reactions to everything that's going on is just it's just such an insane situation. And then the show also does this thing where, who is it? Michael Huseman, is that how you say his last name, from Game of Thrones?
I'm not sure.
And The Haunting of Hill House. But he plays the guy who gets killed. And he pops up, though, in her mind, she's trying to figure out what's going on. So there's these scenes of inner monologue. And she's kind of created, he kind of exists in her mind, I guess. And she's having conversations with him, trying to figure out what's going on. which is definitely not something that's in the book. That's something they just have in the show. But it's I don't know. It's really interesting. I think her performance and the use of that makes this a little different than your standard variation of this type of mystery. Josiah Mamet's in it from Girls, David Mamet's daughter. I already said Michael Huseman, Rosie Perez, T.R. Knight from Grey's Anatomy, Griffin Matthews from Dear White People. He's really good in it. It's really fun so far. It seems to pretty much be following the book, but like I said, there's a few different things, so I'm not sure how they're going to go with it. And like I said, I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but they were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself with it. So that was my recommend. That's a recommend for me. Flight Attendant on HBO Max.
Cool. Danae, why don't you go next?
Okay, but first, I am having a little bit of a freak out moment.
Okay.
And I just need to go on this real quick side quest
Are you
journey
coming down?
for a second.
Are you coming down from a high? Is there?
No,
okay.
I don't do that anymore
Okay,
because I
fair
know
enough.
it's illegal and I can't without getting in big trouble. But listen, I just realized something and I'm going to have like a little bit of a freak out. The Dreamland Chronicles? That's you?
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. You don't even know, like my heart is racing right now. So,
oh my God.
This is amazing. Well, hold on. It was so funny because earlier when you're like, hey, I do some webcomics, immediately I saw Danae go, Like, because she loves webcomics. Like, yeah.
Okay. No, I'm freaking the fuck out right now.
I am too now.
I'm kind of sweating. I'm okay. If there's one thing I can thank you, fucking love it. It's one of the first webcomics that I ever read.
Wow.
It was like my gateway comic. I was introduced to it when I used to work at this call center where we used to have downtime on our calls. And so this guy that I worked with was like, you should get into webcomics. I'm like, I love comics. And he's like, get into webcomics. They're on the web. I'm like, of course they're on the web. Why wouldn't I have thought of that? And so we had this thread that we kept together, this spreadsheet on Excel that just had all these links to all these webcomics that we would read. And so he sent me some of the ones that he liked. I started to find some. And Dreamland Chronicles was one of them. Okay, so then all of a sudden, I'm Googling it. I'm like, webcomic. Okay, which one is it? Da-da-da-da-da. And then I started to shake, like my hands are shaking. I'm not even kidding. And then I'm like, oh my God, I haven't gone there in so long. And then it's like being like redone right now. And then, oh my God, they were at the beginning of the fucking movie. And I saw them and I was like, why do I know that? Where is that from? And it's like from that. Okay,
That's
sorry.
amazing.
I'm sorry.
No, that was a moment. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that is. That's wonderful. Thank you. So did you read it all the way through? Did you get to see it all the way to the end?
No, I got super distracted with life, and then I lost the list, and I couldn't remember all of the ones that I was following. So I've been picking up webtoons again. In fact, I talk about my webcomics almost every week of which ones I'm reading and loving. And so I went to the website. I'm like having this like resurgence of excitement, and then I'm seeing it's not in 3D anymore. And so I have to get caught up. Obviously, I'm super behind now, but holy shit!
I'll send you the entire, because I finished the series in 2016. So I will send it to you as PDFs. And if you want, I got books too and toys.
Okay. So. Oh my God. Okay, I'm kind of glad I didn't know that it was you because I think I probably would have been 70 times more freaked out to see you today.
Well, thank you. That was just kind of shocking though. So I'm still...
cool. Yeah, you're like the writer, director, creator, and everything of this animated film on Netflix. But you're the Dreamland Chronicles.
This is the first time all the talk about Animal Crackers and Sylvester Stallone and Emily Blunt. This is the first time anybody's ever brought up the Dreamland Chronicles. So
I did forget though. Can I ask him a question real quick today? I did want to ask you what exactly you did on Free Enterprise because I saw that was. I'm a huge Star Trek guy, and I saw that was in your IMDb list. I'm also a fan of Mark A. Altman. I've read all of his stuff.
Yeah, Mark and I were old friends, and we'd work on a couple Star Trek comics together, and we just became fast friends. And we were working on a comic book together, and he needed his company logo or something. I did a logo for the movie, and so that was it. I didn't do really. Okay. It wasn't anything spectacular.
Because your name sounded familiar. Are you on any of his podcasts?
No. Okay. We've spoken maybe once or twice over the last 13 years, but once we moved from Los Angeles 13 years ago. Just because we would see each other weekly we did volleyball in Manhattan Beach. So like we would drive down and play volleyball together. So it was kind of like like the volleyball scene in Free Enterprise is a real thing. Yeah. And so
Well, that was amazing, Danae. So part A of your Beyond the Sins is Dreamland Chronicles.
Go read Dreamland Chronicles.
Go check it out.
Okay, like I was going to talk about Magic Soda Pop. I'll save that for next time. Go read for my web comic Lovers. You can go to okay, so now I'm on Amazon and I'm seeing that I can, like the old 3D ones, the originals, are those all on Amazon?
You can get them all
then?
on Kindle and
okay.
And that's the entire thing.
Okay, so I'm seeing like the imagery of a dragon, and I'm like, okay, I remember that. So I know I was at least in book 4. So anyway, go read that. Like, we'll talk about my other web comics later. And it's been redone.
It's been redone with new art, which really, really, Tracy Bailey is just an amazing. She's just you'll read it with new eyes, and we actually have it up on Patreon. We're on chapter 4 right now, but she's amazing. TheDreamlandChronicles.com. Read along with me, and then we can talk about it on Twitter and Discord and all the other places you guys message me about your love of webcomics, just like I love webcomics. Well, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. I forget everything else.
That was amazing. That is one of my favorite moments of all time. That was beautiful. Yeah. That was really amazing. Okay. I can't imagine what that feels like to have like that rush of like gratitude and nostalgia and all that, like at the same time, where you like have this revelation that the person you've been talking to for an hour is like, one of the people who created something that meant something so deeply to you. And that's awesome. That's really cool.
It's even more amazing from my point of view.
Yeah.
So. I'm fighting back tears because I'm wearing
Stop
makeup.
Because then I'll start crying. Okay.
We can all cry. If I can cry, then you can cry, and then we all can cry. To quote Stallone. Well, unless you had something to do with the recent movie The Nest, I'm not going to have a similar moment to Danae.
Oh, I've heard about this. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I got a chance to see The Nest recently. In fact, I think it's out now, available for streaming, at least for rental. But this is a really interesting thriller ? Because it's just kind of a normal life haunted movie. It's kind of like how it's basically this family going through normal family stuff of moving and marriage stuff and parenting stuff, but it's almost shot and feels a little bit like a haunted house movie, and you're kind of half expecting for a lot of this movie that maybe there is a supernatural element to it, just because of, again, the way they kind of go about it. But it is not a movie that you should go into passively. I think it's a movie you're going to want to kind of give yourself to if you're going to enjoy it. Personally, it is not my type of movie at the end of the day, but it is definitely something that I can see you enjoying. Jonathan, I think you may specifically really enjoy this movie just for the tone and the performances and that kind of thing as well. So
cool. Well, and I love Carrie Coon. So
yeah, she's incredible in it. And again, you've got Carrie Coon and Jude Law playing the couple at the center of this, and they're both so good in it, make it so authentic, so believable, that even though I found the movie to be a little below my pace, that I was still interested just because those performances were so good and I bought into it.
This totally sounds like a movie I would love, and everybody else would be like, the movie's boring.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. But yeah, so you might want to check that one out. And if you two are like Jonathan and enjoy boring movies, you can check it out as well.
It is it's slow burns is the correct thing to say.
It is definitely a slow burn, and I will say when this movie came to an end, my looking back on it, I have a higher estimation of it than while going through it. It went somewhere that I really appreciated by the end. And so there have been a couple movies this year that have done that. What was the one that was a metaphor for aging and...
I haven't seen it, but I think it's Relic, right?
Yeah, Relic did that to me, where I just really didn't enjoy the movie at all until I realized what was going on and with the metaphor at the end. And then in hindsight was like, man, I got to appreciate this movie and what it's doing. So So yeah. Anyways, that is The Nest if you want to check it out. What about you, Scott? What do you want to let people know about?
Well, I came unprepared, so I only just found out about this.
No, you're good.
But while you guys were talking, I was thinking of the HBO Max series that came out. I think it's called Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was really high on it for the first part, and then it kind of just went in a different direction that didn't make me that happy for the rest of it. But it was I loved the concept of the religious versus the atheist kind of going off to both set off their own set of human race and whatnot. And I loved I love anything with robots and androids, AI and stuff like that. But I love the mother and father relationship. Like I said, it started off, it was just one of those things where I would have taken it in a different direction. But it's that person's creation, but I love the concept of it. And
yeah, I'm totally with you. I think I may have enjoyed the final ride a little bit more than you, because I stuck with it pretty good. But in chorus with what you're saying, that pilot is just astonishing. Yeah. It's so well done. And I mean, it's Ridley Scott, right? Didn't he direct that? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It feels very Alien. Feels like it could be from the Alien, kind of the new Alien universe idea. But yeah, that's a good recommend. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
He could be using some ideas he has, because I don't think I don't know that he's going to get to continue the Alien, the way where he was going with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of, financial things on the previous movies. So he could very well have taken some stuff from that.
Yeah, I think he's working with Aaron Guzikowski, I think is the creator of Raised by Wolves. I didn't know that off the top of my head. I did look it up. But
also a listener of the show.
Yes. So I want to make sure we give him a shout out. Well, that's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us at P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. That's right, we do snail mail. You can hang out with us on Twitter as well, at Aaron Dicer, at Danae Says, and at Sam Loomis 13. Scott, where can people find you?
On Twitter, at Sava, and on TikTok and Instagram, it's at SavaArt.
So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, Scott Sava, and myself, we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
His phone died.
His phone definitely died. I'm sure of it.
Does he know anyone's phone number?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He would be able to figure.
He knows where you live.
Right, yeah.
He knows how to send an email.
I'm not sure that the next generation knows how to send emails. I'm not even kidding.
The conversations I'm having with Iris are a little different. This morning I opened up Instagram and I showed her a picture of Sophia Poggiantelli. I can't remember how to say her last name.
The
model.
The unibrow model?
Yeah, the model that has a really thick unibrow. And I showed her a picture and I said, "Isn't she beautiful?" Iris looks at it and she's like, "I don't think I like her face."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, really? What is it about her face that you don't like?" She thought about it and she said, "Her eyebrows. I don't like them. They're really big." And I said, I started talking to her about how people have different facial features, and some people have eyebrows that are far apart, and some people have thin ones, and some people have really thick eyebrows. So it was kind of neat because by the end of a few minutes of conversation, we went back to the original picture. I asked her if she thought that Sophia was beautiful. Do you think that you've changed your mind about how she looks now? And she said she thinks that she's beautiful, but she doesn't know if she likes the eyebrows. And she's only 3. And so then we looked at some other pictures of other, models that are shaped differently and stuff. So that was my first time to kind of start to wade into that water with her, with purpose,
It's a great reminder that we like to put a lot of this on culture and norms of beauty and those kind of things on culture. But there is a very primal human thing of different. That looks different than I've seen. That looks different than most people I know. And that different is bad. There's something built into us that is just different is bad. And we have to fight that. We have to train that out of ourselves in a lot of ways. So no, I think you're doing good work.
So we're watching the Thanksgiving parade, and then it would cut to commercial, and she says, "Oh, I don't like this part. Go back to the parade." And I said, "Oh, Iris, this is the commercials. And when we watch live TV, there's commercials." And she says, "I don't like these." And I said, "No, baby. These are people. Every single time you see one of these, they're trying to manipulate your emotions to purchase something." My mom and my dad are there. They're like, And then all these different products are popping up. And one of them was just a real brief, split-second Dorito bag. Instantly. "Can I have some chips?"
Mm-hmm.
Instantly. And I said, "Honey, you're being manipulated." I think the weirdest thing for me is that I love to watch cooking shows, which is like one gigantic long commercial for cooking and delicious food that you want. But like if you wanted to eat Great British Baking Show style food, you'd have to go to a patisserie or something. And of course, that's not going to happen. Or you have to know how to make it yourself.
Right.
And I could figure that out. But instead, what I do is I will eat like toast and a fried egg, which I can make really, really well. And I'll watch a cooking show and feel good about myself and judge I even judge their cooking sometimes. Like, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't have put that was way too hot to put in that mixture. Those eggs are going to curdle," like I know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm doing the same thing. We are binging Top Chef. We're through season 9. We just started into season 10. And yeah, we are definitely both like, "Oh, that omelet is too dark.
Oh, it's terrible. It's just way too dark." Yeah. Jonathan, you are incorrect. He is in a hobbit hole.
I was going to say,
I am in a hobbit hole, yeah.
That door, I'm just like giddy about that door behind you and the staff. Like, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Here, that's
Wait,
the bookshelf
what do you
over
mean
there.
It's staff?
There's the thing.
There's Gandalf's staff there, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
You have a Gandalf staff. Mm-hmm.
and there's the rest of them.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Is this all very purposeful? Did you do this to the space yourself?
Yes.
I didn't know I was going to fall in love with you today.
Sorry. It was a just a basement. It was, and we had mold in it. And so my friend who does construction's like, "You're always calling yourself a hobbit, so I'm turning this into a hobbit hole." And he came up with designs and
What?
Yeah, so it was really cool. It's all styrofoam and painted to look like wood, so it's kind of like a movie facade.
So when Lord of the Rings came out, there were so many like websites that did this thing where you could learn how to like write your name in Elvish. Did you do that too?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not that level. It's more of an
definitely
aesthetic thing. Did you really?
wondered, yeah. Well, and I mean, I learned by following the chart, E equals this symbol, A equals, and there is a way to do it where I guess Tolkien kind of actually created the language. And so, like merging specific letters together in whatever order. And there was a rhyme and reason to it. So you definitely could learn the language, but I just followed the patterns. And then I would write my name in Elvish because I thought that was super cool. So my next question is of whether or not it says anything. I guess I know the answer is probably no.
No. There's just leaves. And then I just made an S for Sava.
Awesome.
I actually learned to speak fluent Elvish, through Lord of the Rings and Klingon. In fact, I like to combine them into one language called Klingish, which is kind of my own creation. So, yeah.
Nobody believes you.
What? It sounded so real. There's an Andy's frozen custard in Cool Springs.
Why would you? Why?
Because Andy's frozen custard is the best frozen custard ever.
I know that.
Yeah.
But that's just random that you'd be like, "This is the one thing I know about Cool Springs." They have custard.
What should I call this?
Whatever you like. Behind the Sins, Scott.
Best time in interview.
Yeah, best podcast
of my
I've
life.
ever been on. Wave. Something
I
like
like
that.
them better than
Sincast.
Yeah. These are the 3 coolest humans I've ever met. Wave. I think would suffice.
BTS, yay.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Sincast, boo.
And I'm assuming you guys edit these at some point too, right? So
no, we just throw a big 2-hour messy file
It's actually
on.
live.
That's right. Yeah. No editing. We don't believe in that kind of stuff around here.
Oh my God.
He's going to edit in different versions of the questions he asked
Right.
you, so you sound like racist or whatever.
Yeah. Listen, I know how to pick apart the words, create sentences. I will make you say things you never thought you would say.
Yeah.
That is what I'm here for.
Like looking for group, for example.
Yeah.
So-
And it's actually Ryan Somer and Lar D'Souza looking for group. They're the ones who host my website.
What?
So yeah.
Oh my God, I can't freak out right now.
You want another freak out? If you pause the film in Mackenzie's bedroom, you'll see LFG stickers on her wall.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go look. You guys, bonk, bonk, bonk. Holy shit. That was so exciting. That was cool. I really love just being able to talk to him and say thank you for like making that happen like that. I'm glad I got to say that. But then like the extra shit that he starts throwing at me, send me your address. Let's play D&D. I don't know how to process that right now. So I'm going to go just take a quick lap around the house, stretch,
Sure.
and then I'll be right back. Okay.
Right on.
Oh my God.